We are now in hour 2 of our coverage. The polls have been closed now for 90 minutes across the state of Ohio and certainly here in Northeast Ohio. And, you know, results are starting to come in. Remember, go to wkyc.com/elections or check out on our app and you can get results for wherever you are. You know, no matter what community, what county in Northeast Ohio, we've got your results now as they are now starting to come in. Some precincts are slowly starting to tabulate results, and we're really starting, I think, now to get an idea of how some races may shape out, but in other cases, the waiting game will be going on here for the next couple hours.
And as we wait for those results to come in, we're going to take a look at some of the issues we've been following. We're going to take a look at some of the issues that are related to the schools coming up, and then some things that are happening here in Cleveland before we bring our political analyst Tom Beres back in. Yeah,
let's start with, there are a number of school levies that are on the ballots here tonight that everybody went to the polls to vote on today, and we've highlighted a few. We have them at wkyc.com as well, but you know, this is really what's at stake in a lot of the cases, Stephanie, is, you know, your child might be getting a new school building, child might be getting new facilities, or to bus or not bus your child. Now in Euclid, they've had to go without busing since a 2018 levy defeat. Now the issue that's up tonight, 8.7 mils, it's 10-year emergency levy, and if it's passed, it would restore busing to what it was before that levy defeat in 2018.
If they do pass this, it'll make a big difference for the students in Euclid. Previously, they had to cut their busing to 1st through 8th graders just to meet the state minimum standards, and not providing transportation unless you live more than 2 miles from the school.
And right now, as you can see, it's not going well for those who are trying to get that levy passed. It's almost a 2-to-1 margin right now, 1,500 votes almost against this particular measure, whereas you have 787 votes for. So still some work to do. Again, you still have some more precincts to be reported, but not good if you're somebody in Euclid that was hoping to get your child back into into a transportation busing situation. Not going well so far.
In Chardon, the levy in Chardon was focused more on a new building for grades 6 through 12 and also a new football stadium. Now, that proposed bond issue, $76 million. I know you're happy about the new football stadium.
I was going to say, listen, anybody that has to be out there Friday night, Chardon's got it's a nice facility, but boy, oh boy, I would love. They've talked about that there. They really want to renovate that stadium, get, you know, new press box, new bleachers, new facilities, really modernize it along with the others in Northeast Ohio. So that would be a big part if that particular issue passed. We have not gotten results in from Geauga County on that one yet.
And in addition to the new building for grades 6 through 12, there would also be an auditorium as well. So not just focused on the athletics portion of it. They would be doing a lot with that money if that one does make it through.
Music, arts, you know, all those, you know, you just think about with the auditorium, it's you know, whether it's music, musicals, arts, it's so many things that go into having an auditorium at your school in that, you know, a grade 6 through 12 building.
Absolutely.
In North Ridgeville in Lorain County, Issue 16 would provide the funds to build both a new elementary school and a new high school. And the plan would be to build a new grade 9 through 12 high school building with, here it goes again, another performing arts center. That issue would cost $22 per month per $100,000 of home value. So that's in North Ridgeville. We're getting the Lorain County results in kind of slow at wkyc.com/elections, but we have one from Lorain County we'll get to in a little bit, but that's a big one in Lorain County. North Ridgeville's been trying to get something passed, and, you know, somebody who lived in Avon for a long time, you know, you drive by there quite a bit, and, you know, they really want to try to get this passed and finally get a new high school in that community.
And also looking at a new K through 3 elementary school building as well.
Exactly. In Independence, Issue 5 is now back in Cuyahoga County, provides for the constructing, furnishing, and equipping of a new pre-K through 8th grade school building. So you're talking now, you know, 9 or 10 grades worth of schools would be utilized, or classes would be utilizing that. Also renovating and remodeling some of their other facilities. That's in Independence. Also in Cuyahoga County. You and I have been watching one in Lake County coming into tonight, Willoughby and Eastlake, that district.
Right, and what they are looking to do with Issue 4, this is a continuous additional levy that would have an annual cost of about $175 per $100,000 in property valuation. If they don't pass it, they're not looking to make additions so much as avoid making cuts, particularly to their freshman athletics.
And middle school as well. Yeah, the middle school and freshman athletics. So that would affect, I mean, I was just up there a couple of weeks ago. We did the Willoughby South versus Eastlake North football game. And the one thing that you talk to people at that time, they were worried about the numbers of kids who are going out for sports. It's been dwindling a little bit. And so this would obviously continue to, and that's just football. It's not talking about other sports. But something like that would fail, and now all of a sudden you don't have middle school or freshman year sports, certain sports. That would certainly be a big blow to that community. So.
Right, and in addition to that, if they don't pass this levy, we think that some of the cuts might be made to busing, mental health services, school resource officers, and non-athletic groups as well.
Yeah, there are other communities, but we kind of focused on those 5, but we'll watch them for you. And Tyler can show you on our website at WKYC.com elections. You can pull down on various tools. One of the things you can do is actually select school issues, and it'll pop up, and you can pick your school of your choice, and you'll be able to see very quickly how your community is doing. As you see, Belleville's in there, Brooklyn has started to come in. We mentioned already Euclid has come in, so we're starting to see some results slowly trickling in.
You mentioned that we were going to talk about another issue in Lorain County. Now, something that's been proposed in the city of Amherst, issue 20, is the, quote, sensible marijuana ordinance. Now, what this would do if it passes is it would get rid of the fine and jail time for people caught with less than a half a pound of marijuana. This is in the 100 to 200 gram amount. And
you might imagine, while in the community, something like this may be popular, there's one set of people who aren't real pleased with this, and that is the Amherst Police Department. They went on social media earlier, it was late last week, I think, earlier this week, just to say, hey, look, we're going to have a real problem if this thing is passed in the way we're able to do our jobs. This is going to be a huge issue, and I got to tell you, it's very, very close. Looking at the Lorain County Board of Elections page, there are 712 no votes on this, 668 yes votes.
Pretty close. It's pretty much a toss-up right now. This is still early results. These are the unofficial results, so we're waiting for more votes to come in. But that's pretty about as close as it gets.
Do you think, and I'm going to put your legal hat on for a second, this is something that I would imagine if it would pass, and if it comes, and again, it's very, very close. It's more or less a toss-up. I get the feeling that other communities Amherst could be kind of a test case while the state marijuana issue still gets sorted through and everything. This could be a test case for a lot of similar-sized communities in Northeast Ohio and in Ohio in general as to how it's enforced, how the police feel about it, and how this all comes out.
Absolutely. I mean, decriminalization is definitely the trend, right? Ohio is playing it safe overall, starting with the medical cannabis. But with what happens here in Amherst, you could see if they have success with this, a lot of communities moving in a similar direction. I would not be surprised.
Yeah, so again, that's very, very close. It's more or less of a 50-50 toss-up. I want to go back to education, and we're going to bring our elections analyst, Tom Beres, in. You'll see him also later. In addition to us having him, he'll be back tonight with Russ Mitchell and Sarah Shookman on What's Next at 11 o'clock. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that you're going to. Yes.
Thanks for the plug.
Of course. We went through a lot of the schools in terms of school districts in Greater Cleveland and Northeast Ohio, but in Cuyahoga County, big issue tonight is issue number 3, and it affects the Cuyahoga Community College District and what the future of Tri-C is in terms of being able to get funding and going forward with this issue on the ballot.
Well, there was no organized opposition to it. I mean, undoubtedly there are a lot of diehard who just say, I'm taxed out, I can't afford any more property tax, open and shut, don't talk to me about it. But the reality is, I mean, Tri-C has and should make a pretty compelling case for the value that this would bring. We're talking about $14 more a year on $100,000 property value of a home. And if you look at Tri-C's record here, what's one of the biggest problems in the community right now? Matching an uneducated workforce with the available jobs out there.
Right.
And Tri-C has been one of the biggest facilitators, or one of the biggest means to connect and train workers for actual jobs where they can walk out the door, get a paycheck starting tomorrow. Tri-C has the lowest cost, lowest tuition of any institution of higher education in the state. It awards the most degrees to minority and African American students of any school in the state. It has an excellent record in preparing veterans to get back into the swing of things. And again, obviously, I think more and more people are recognizing the need for an alternative to a traditional four-year college, that there might be more economic value in going to a community college program to get trainings for jobs where there is a demand right now, be it medical jobs, special technological jobs. I think Tri-C makes the case that 85% of the graduates wind up living in Cuyahoga County.
Right.
And half of the families in Cuyahoga County have had someone enrolled in a Tri-C program. So it's obviously a very successful institution. I believe they have 250 recent Cleveland School graduates who are the first participants in that Say Yes to Education program that enables Cleveland School students to get a free college education. So I think on a lot of fronts across the board, they're helping to deal with the that gap, economic and class disparity. So again, obviously they're doing a lot of good work, and they save a little bit more money. We could do a lot more.
So far, so good for those trying to get this thing passed. Is according to our page at wkyc.com/elections, just under about 60% saying they're for the keeping the operating costs going, and 40% are against.
Well, again, people are being asked to approve a renewal plus this little extra amount. There are a couple of other ongoing levies that people support that also pay for Tri-C. So, yeah, people might have a tendency to say, well, wait a minute, they were just picking my pocket a couple of years ago for another levy. But again, the fact of the matter is they're a successful and important institution, and what's more important in the community than training people for available jobs?
Sounds like they'd really be investing in the local community, as you said, with so many people remaining in the area. And maybe this wouldn't need to go up for a vote again for a while if it does pass, because this is a 10-year plan to start next year.
I want to get, there's an issue we didn't get a chance to talk about the first time we had you, but quick update on, as we check in on Cuyahoga County Issue 6. We mentioned, again, that's the sheriff charter. That is winning by quite a large margin right now, 78% of voters, about 46,900 voters saying they're for it, 13,000 against.
You know, I mean, that's kind of heartening, because to me, that says that people are paying attention to all the stories about the serious problems in the jail. I mean, I think, yeah, there's a lot of gobbledygook and legalese in the actual ballot language of this, and I think people's normal instinct is when they can't figure something out or don't understand something to either not vote or vote no. This seems to be making a pretty compelling statement that they get it and they're trying to improve things.
Also in Cleveland, issue 20 this year on the ballot had to do with, you know, if you want to run for office, if you want to run for elected office in the city of Cleveland, well, you know, this is proposing there's going to be a rule, and yet basically you have to be an elector in the city for 12 months. You have to be rooted down for 12 months and be an eligible elector before you can just go out and throw your hat in the ring, as opposed to being I love one of my favorite terms in politics, carpetbagger. You know, this would kind of put a stop to that.
Right. I always want to go back and let's look at the origin of where did that term actually come from, carpetbagger? I think it goes back to the Civil War.
I believe it. Yes, around that. Yes, I remember from my American history class.
Okay. There hasn't been a very vigorous campaign one way or another, I don't think, for this. It's not something that there's necessarily a groundswell of support of, but to me it's, you know, it's very common sense. If you want to represent a portion of the community, you should have a familiarity with the community's problems and having a stake in the community. You know, the argument the city made at one time was that all its employees must reside in the city of Cleveland, and that was the case for years and years and years until the Supreme Court said, you can't force people to live there. But I mean, underlying, I think, is the same kind of thinking that you can better serve a community where you have an invested commitment to. So.
Trying to see if we've got I haven't seen.
Do we have numbers?
I have not seen the number on that, but I'm with you. I can't. There we go. According to that, yeah, it's doing pretty well there. It's 87% or 81% if my eyes see me there, and 19% have come out against it. So, like you said, it's a common sense thing, Tom, but it makes a lot of sense. And right under it, by the is issue 22, and that's got to do again with the Civil Service Commission charter, and I know this has been a hot button, Tom, especially for those in the firefighting community, about promotions, about how the Civil Service Commission handles those trying to get promoted from one spot to another.
Well, dating back to my old reporting days here, I mean, if I had a nickel for every story I did about a case involving some promotion controversy involving either the police or the firefighters department, I could buy us all a nice dinner, probably. But I think I'm not familiar with every one of the changes in there, but I think the Civil Service Commission should have clear-cut standards and abide by those standards, which is the argument that the firefighters make. No, they're not. They're not testing when they should, and they're not necessarily adhering to the candidate order list on the list of test takers.
Yeah, they had 6 bullet points at least. I'm sure there were more, but administer open tests to determine the fitness of all the applicants, publish the time and place of all the tests, list of candidates.
Right,
according to
transparency across the board is what they want.
Yes, indeed. So that seems to be doing a lot like the residency requirement. That seems to be doing very well tonight in the city of Cleveland as well.
Well, the enlightened voters turned out, maybe, huh?
So far, again, it's early, but we're starting to get numbers. While I have you here, last thing, Tom, we're seeing Dan Horgan got out to a quick lead in Stephanie to Josh Sines, about 74% of the vote to 26%. Again, it's early, but no real surprise.
Heavily Democratic city. What would you expect?
About May.
About that.
Yeah, that's right. About that. So again, WKYC.com/elections and our 3 News app to get all the latest results as they're starting to come in.
And as we get those results coming in, we'll make sure to keep you updated. We're going to be back here at 10 p.m. at the top of the hour, so make sure you catch us on WKYC.com, in the app, on Facebook, as well as on YouTube, and we'll see you back here really soon.